This, as I'm sure you know, is an acoustic guitar. And, ooh, if I can get it in its stand. This is an electric guitar. What's the difference? Well, what's the similarity and what's the difference? I mean, they're basically similar in shape. They've got a neck, a headstock, the strings, a body. But they're obviously, this one needs electricity to work. This one doesn't. I think a lot of people start out on acoustic guitars. Nice thing about an acoustic guitar is you don't need electricity. You can just pick up the guitar and put it in tune, and as long as it's got the 6 strings on it, you don't even need 6 strings. I remember seeing one video of this guy, I think he was in Africa. There's like One String Willie or something his name is. He just plays full songs on, just like he's just got 1 string on his guitar. But anyway, most of us has 6 strings on our guitar, our acoustic guitars. So these can be steel strings or nylon on a classical guitar. But most contemporary acoustic guitars have steel string. And it produces its own sound. Right? Not a lot of moving parts. It's just got the pins to hold in the strings down here. And then they go over this little, I think it's called a saddle. I'm never quite sure. Is this like the bridge? And is that little piece called the saddle, or is the whole thing called the bridge? I'm not too sure. And I know that this is the nut, but so where is the string making contact? It's making contact in the bridge where the pins are holding it down. It's making contact. I'm going to call this the saddle. I might be wrong. But going over top of that, it's in contact. And over here, it's called the nut on the top, and it's in contact with that. And then as it gets wound around these machine heads up here, so really 4 points where the strings are in contact down here, and then on the saddle, on the nut, and then the machine heads. And then obviously you tune the strings, and yeah, you're good to go. You're ready to have lots of fun. Yeah, you can take it anywhere. Pretty low maintenance. There's not a lot to go wrong on a guitar like that. Then about a year ago, I picked up this thing, an electric guitar. It's my first electric guitar. And you can hear that it doesn't make a lot of sound if it's not plugged in. So an electric guitar requires a lot more stuff. There's the guitar itself. You need the cable to come out of the guitar and go into an amplifier. You need the amplifier. And there are a lot more parts on an electric guitar. When I first bought this guitar, I wasn't quite certain. I didn't know that really about electric guitars, like just how many parts there are. So you've got the strings. And then on this one, there's like 4 points of contact on that one. This one's a little bit special. It's got this thing here called a Bigsby vibrato bar, and it's got, so it connects up, the ends of the strings connect on here, and then it goes over this little roller thing, and then onto the saddle, and then on the nut, and then on the machine head. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of contact there. And it does this whole machine thing here. This is like wiggly wobbly vibrato thing that goes on, and I had to put that on myself and attach it on. And then these things are called pickups, and when you, just the way electricity works, with magnets and copper wire and this vibrating string, it generates a small signal, electrical signal. And then that's what gets fed out to the amplifier, make the signal bigger. But it's also got these things, these switches, like a switch to switch between this pickup and that pickup, or in between the pickups. And for each pickup, it's got volume, and it's also got a tone. How much treble is the sound that's being emitted? How much treble does it have, or pulling off the treble? That's what the tone dial does. Tone dials do, and you can't see it, but underneath, they're called pots, like the electrical components that are attaching to these dials. And so you have wires going to these pots over here, and then you also have the output jack right here where a cable comes out. So I mean, those are all, the more parts that you have, the more that stuff can break. Or require maintenance and so forth. Yeah, so I didn't know that when I picked up an electric guitar, just like how many parts there are on it, and stuff that can either malfunction, which hasn't really happened so much on this one, but I'm kind of suspecting it might, especially with this jack here where the cable plugs in. Yeah, but also I think electric guitars are a little bit more like cars. In that, I think a lot of people, enthusiasts, they like to switch out the parts. They like to change it around. Maybe they'll change the tuning heads, pickups. I changed the pickups on this. Then obviously the types of strings. Like, you can basically change any part on it according to your preferences. So a lot of people do that. They just end up modifying their guitars for whatever reason, either just for just because it's fun to do, or because they're chasing after a certain sound. Some people build their own guitars out of kits and things. Anyway, what's my kind of point? We have acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars are complex things, but compared to, like, if you think about the body and how it's built and all of that, but compared to an electric guitar, electric guitars are more complex with more parts on it, and they require more equipment, cables and amplifiers, and a lot of people use pedals that can modify the sounds. An acoustic guitars, you're just basically, it's good to go the way it is. I think that's why a lot of people like it. Then, so why would people want electric guitars? Well, they're cool. They can go pretty loud, obviously, with the amplifiers, and which is kind of the reason why the electric guitars came out. Acoustic guitars couldn't compete with the big bands, like the other members in the band. You just wouldn't hear the guitar, so they tried to amplify the sound of the guitar. And then you had the evolution of electric guitars. And then the preferred sound has changed over time. In the beginning, with electric guitars, they wanted to have really clean sounds. They weren't interested in all of these crazy gymnastics that we do with electric guitars these days, and all of the crazy sounds that we've come to like out of them. So yeah, I mean, an electric guitar is really a different beast now than from an acoustic guitar, especially in the hands of somebody who's really, really good at electric guitar and how to use different equipment with it. They can just create all kinds of amazing sounds out of it that you wouldn't get from an acoustic guitar. So it becomes a very different experience. But obviously the shape of them they're similar. So if you can play an acoustic guitar, you can play an electric guitar and vice versa, though your techniques would be different because they emit different sounds. In any case, I think I'll wrap up the video there. That's just a brief overview. I've been wanting to talk about the topic that I just discussed. I've been wanting to mention it for a little while. compare and contrast between acoustic and electric. All right, have yourselves a good day.